I know a lot of people say they're pro Second Amendment, but let's test that. Just how pro Second Amendment are you? If you know anything about nutrition and exercise, you know that if you want strong bones, ligaments, tendons, muscles, hair, teeth, skin, nails, whatever, you need the 5 types of collagen in your diet. You can grab that through BioTrust. This stuff is awesome, guys. Click on the link in the description. If you don't know anything about it, you can watch a couple of the videos and get up to speed, but do yourself a favor and grab some.
I want to go over what Massey says here about these gun control proposals from Biden. But before we do that, I want to refresh your memory on what Biden said about guns, specifically a double-barrel shotgun. We'll have a little fun with this.
If you want to protect yourself, get a double-barrel shotgun.
Get a shotgun.
Have the shells, a 12-gauge shotgun, and I promise you, as I told my wife, we live in an area that's wooded and somewhat secluded. I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony here or walk out, put that double-barrel shotgun and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
Firearms advice from creepy, I like children sitting on my lap, Uncle Joe Biden. Go outside the house, fire 2 blasts outside that sounds irresponsible. But you're now the president of the United States. You weren't then, but you are now. This is when he was vice president. Fire 2 blasts outside the house is Joe Biden's recommendation on how you should use a firearm.
I promise you, who's ever coming in is not going to, you don't need an AR-15. It's harder to aim, it's harder to use, and in fact, you don't need 30 rounds to protect yourself.
Thanks for telling me what I don't need.
Shotgun.
As for objections that gun restrictions violate the Constitution, Biden says it's okay for the government to restrict some weapons. Otherwise, people could go out there, buy their own military weapons, even tanks.
Yes, you know what? According to the Second Amendment, that's true. You can buy according to the Second Amendment, there is no restriction. It says the right to keep and bear arms, keeps it general, shall not be infringed. Do you think Samuel Adams would want the same kind of firepower as his government of that day and age? You dang right. Because one of the reasons for the Second Amendment, they were thinking, it was on the front of their mind to always think about what government did to them. One of the reasons the Second Amendment is in there is to guard against a tyrannical government. So some guy made a song on this. You remember this?
2 shotguns. My home. They're locked in a safe. There's a metal gun case. We live in an area that's wooded, somewhat secluded. And I said, Jill, if there's ever a problem, just walk out on the balcony and fire 2 blasts outside the house.
Come on, sing it with me.
Buy a shotgun.
Buy a shotgun. He's going to say double-barrel shotgun.
You don't need a machine gun. You don't need 30 rounds. Buy a shotgun.
Buy a double-barrel shotgun.
No, you don't need a flamethrower, and you don't need a tank. You don't need an AR-15 to scare those thugs away. No, and I don't need a grenade launcher. I don't need an F-15. There's just one thing I need to do, and they'll stay away from me. Fire 2 blasts outside the house. Buy a shotgun.
This is so freaking good, man.
Buy a shotgun, baby.
You don't need a machine gun.
You don't need 30 rounds.
Buy shotguns.
Buy a double-barrel shotgun.
Fire 2 blasts
Outside the house.
Buy a shotgun. Buy a shotgun.
I love spoofing political parasites like that. So based on that, there's these new gun laws that Biden-Harris, whatever, want to enact. And it's interesting what they're doing. Have you noticed that gun control, the term gun control is being dropped for gun safety regulations? It's so that it can make anybody who's against it look really bad. It's like, you're not for gun safety? You know, because if you have the word control in there, it looks like they're, controlling people. But gun safety, who would ever be against gun? I'm for gun safety. Aren't you for gun? You're not for gun safety. You must hate the children's. You hate the children's, don't you? No, the reason I have a firearm is because I love my kids and I love my family, and I want to be in the supreme position or the best position I can possibly be in if there's a threat against my family. It's better to have it and not need it than need it and not have it.
Pivot to guns, because you wrote an op-ed recently, and I'm a gun-loving American, okay? And I really don't think this president, if you've
well, you're not for gun safety. I'm for being safely handling guns. I'm definitely for that. That's what I'm talking about. Their gun safety equals gun control. So what they're doing is they're using a euphemism. Their gun safety is gun control, and their gun control is really a euphemism for people control. I'm for safely using firearms. If you're around firearms, you want to be safe. You don't want to be a dumbass around firearms. You want to make sure that you're pointing it away. You want to make sure that the magazine's clear. I mean, the chamber is clear before you clean it. So I'm for gun safety, but I'm not for their gun safety, because their gun safety is people control. Yeah, it's a total play on words. And that's why I say politics is nothing more, nothing less than the clever and deceptive art of using euphemisms, lies, emotionalism, and fear-mongering in order to dupe average people into accepting and even demanding the chains of their own enslavement. That's how it works. It's all magical. It's all wordplay. It's all deception. It's all trying to... Propaganda is nothing more, nothing less than mind trickery. It's trying to trick your mind into doing a certain thing, accepting certain things, and ordering your behavior by an immoral standard. That's what they do. And that's how they can justify taking away the guns to keep you safe. No, it ain't for keeping you safe. It ain't for keeping you safe. Not at all. It's about controlling you. They don't care if you're safe or not. They don't care if you live or die. As a matter of fact, for these people, they want you to stop. I like Bacchus Mills' words, useless eaters. They view us as useless eaters. From their perspective, it's we who are taking up and using their oxygen. We are eating their food. We are walking on their earth. That's how they feel about this, guys.
And I know you've seen him, some of the interviews over the decades he's done when he talks about different guns. I don't think the man knows what he's talking about. Does he own anything else besides a shotgun? But it's all over. When he discusses rifles and other things, he doesn't even know what he's discussing. If I hear one more guy say clip instead of magazine, I'm going to lose it.
And if I hear one more guy say, you don't need 30 rounds. You want to tell me who you think you are to tell me what you think I need? Are you my daddy? Am I a little kid? You don't need that. You don't need that chocolate bar before you go to bed. You don't need to eat all that Halloween candy. It'll make you sick. It'll rot your teeth. You don't need 30 rounds. You don't need to buy that firearm. That's scary and black, and it's AR-15-ish.
Well, and he advised his wife
to
just take
domination,
2 shots
Mike.
with that shotgun in the air if she thought she hears a sound. Now, that's not exactly gun
Fire to blast outside the house.
safety. But have you noticed they use the term gun safety? They don't want to say gun control. They say the word gun safety or gun crime because they know that gun control could cost them in the next election. But you know, when Biden and Kamala Harris announced those bills or their initiatives, executive orders, I suppose, in the Rose Garden, there were so many lies.
And those euphemisms back people into a false dichotomy and a false dilemma. It's like, you don't like gun safety. It's like, hold on a second. Let's define terms. What are you talking about when you say gun safety? I'll tell you what I talk about. I'm talking about when I'm talking about gun safety, and it ain't gun control. It's not me thinking that I can tell you what kind of property that you can have. And if you have a certain property that I don't think you should have, I don't think that I'm justified in going to your house or having a third party law enforcers go to your house with red flag laws and removing or stealing that property from your house. I think everybody has a right to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects. But no politician thinks that, guys. No politician thinks that, especially politicians who sign off on these ERPOs, these extreme risk protection orders called red flag laws.
That I just had to write an op-ed. They claimed that there were 3 million felons prevented from purchasing a firearm because of the instant background check. The reality is in 2017, there were 112,000 denials and only 12 convictions. Literally every one of those, if they had been felons, could have been convicted. But the reality is, it's not because they didn't want to convict people who were trying to buy a gun who were felons, 100,000 of them. It's because they denied probably 100,000 people who are law-abiding citizens the right to purchase a gun.
That's
and
the issue.
To exercise their Second Amendment. So that was the first big lie in there. There are just so many to talk about. But the thing that concerned me the most, Dan, was listen to Biden, not when he's saying AFT when he means ATF. He couldn't even get the language straight.
Do you guys remember that? I think he said it 2 or 3 times and he never corrected himself. He was calling the ATF the AFT.
Oh, we aired that.
But listen to him. Yeah, listen to him when he tells you, if he said something like, if God came down and gave me one wish, right, on gun control, this is what it would be. And he said, and this goes back to another one of his lies, he had said that gun manufacturers can't be sued. Now that's absolutely false. If they create a faulty product, they can be sued, just like if an automobile manufacturer makes a faulty product. If they break the law.
Awake A said in the chat room, they keep sending me refunds of my money. I'm going to keep buying more Liberty devices and Freedom Seeds.
They can be sued, just like an automobile manufacturer. But gun manufacturers, if you commit suicide, they can't be sued for misuse of their product, and neither can automobile manufacturers. But Joe Biden knows whether you allowed people to sue manufacturers based on misuse of their product, whether it's automobiles or guns, it would put them totally out of business. And that's why, if he could have one wish, that would be the gun control he gets, is extra liability.
Well, and it's him sucking up to the anti-gun left folks, the extremists, because he wants to win their vote. This is like, I mean, come on, he's been in just about 100 days now next week, right? And we've seen, I lost track. Maybe.
What do you think the country would do? I often wonder about this. What do you think the country would do if you had like a sleeper candidate get in, you know, because it's not an election process, it's a C-election process. What if the guy who got behind the desk at 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue just put his fist down one day and he goes, I'm calling a news conference. I don't need any notes. The only note I need is the Second and Fourth Amendment, first, second, fourth, and 10th Amendments. Here's the deal, guys. We got 26,000 federal gun laws on the books. Boom, gone. I'm writing an executive order right here, eradicating every single one of those freaking laws. Gun show loophole. There ain't going to be no, as of today, by executive order, there ain't going to be no FFL. Go, get your, if you want to get firearms, go ahead. It says shall not be infringed. Who am I to take an oath, especially putting my left hand on Bible and right hand toward heaven, whatever that means for these political parasites, and saying that I swear to uphold, protect, and defend the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. I am not going to be any hindrance whatsoever. And I'm getting rid of every single gun law that we've ever written in the trash heap. How do you think America, and I'm talking about the right Americans too, I'm talking about no background check is an infringement, gone. Having federal firearms license dealers, don't need to anymore. Being an FFL in a certain state is a violation of the 10th Amendment. The feds have no jurisdiction across that geographic boundary called the state, per the 10th Amendment. You know, the reason they do is because they're getting federal dollars. States are getting federal dollars so the feds can have control. You don't need being in the very existence of an FFL or a nationalized police force like the FBI, the ATF, are violations of the 10th Amendment. You got the state powers, and whatever's not delegated to the feds, it goes to the state and the people respectively. It's just messed up. It's like, no, I'm taking my oath seriously. Oh, you're going to condemn me for taking my oath? You're interpreting that. Shall not be infringed. How am I interpreting that? I am not going to infringe. Therefore, I'm getting rid of every infringement. I'm taking my oath seriously. You got a problem with it? What's that guy's? Jim Acosta, you got a problem with that? Jim Acosta, I want you to come up here. Come up here behind the desk here at Pennsylvania Avenue. I want you to read this Second Amendment. A well-regulated, see, it says regulated. That means a well-disciplined militia, not regulated by the feds. The 10 amendments to the Constitution, the Bill of Rights, is basically reserving power to the people and not to the federal government. A well-regulated militia being necessary for the security of a free state, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Now, if you want a background check, you want an infringement, be gone with you. If you want a bump stock ban over there, Donnie Trump, then you're violating the Second Amendment. Off. I was going to say, never mind. I'm not saying that. I'm not doing that, Kathy Griffin. Be gone. Get out of my sight. You're a violator of the Second Amendment. What if he just took that stand? Oh, Nazi Pelosi, you want to put exorbitant taxes on freedom seeds? You're out of here, you violator of the Second Amendment. If you're violating the Second Amendment in broad daylight, what else are you doing, you corrupt fiends? There's no notes. Don't need notes. All I need is that, look, I got the Bill of Rights right here. Look at this. I'm living this. I'm going to abide by this. You got a problem with it? This is America, right? Land of the free, home of the brave. Do what you want. Put whatever you want into your own body. Second executive order. We're getting rid of the long and costly and failed drug war, which isn't a war on drugs. It's a war on people. I'm not declaring war on my people. Americans are my people, and I'm going to protect them. Drug war, gone. Funding for the drug war, gone. Funding for the military-industrial complex outside of national defense, gone. Prison-industrial complex, gone. Free speech, all this censorship that's coming out of Washington's District of Criminals, gone. This idea that there's hate speech and hate speech isn't allowed under the First Amendment. Who are you? Aliens? Goodbye. You people have a right to be secure in their person's houses, papers in effect. No ERPOs, no red flag, extreme risk protection orders. Screw that. It's a violation of the Fourth Amendment and the Second Amendment. Wonder what would happen if, what would the Democrats and the Republicans say if a guy he was just emboldened, he was on fire, he was like a Samuel Adams. If you would love wealth greater than liberty, the tranquility of servitude rather than the animating contest of freedom, go home from us in peace, crouch down and lick the hands which feed you, and may posterity forget that you were our countrymen. What if he said that? If you love wealth greater than the Second Amendment, the right to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed, the tranquility of servitude rather than the animating contest of freedom, championing the cause of the right to be secure in your person's houses, papers, and effects, crouch down and lick the hands which feed you. You want a master? You want to roll over on your back and show your belly to your masters like a dog? Go ahead. May posterity forget you are my countrymen. Going to violate the Second Amendment on my watch? I don't think so. Park Air Force One and Air Force Two and Marine One and Marine Two. We don't need that trash. Bunch of trash cans out there. Bring all of our troops home. Close all the military bases now, right now. Ain't no reason for us to be. We can't afford it. Haul every single bankster in here. Bring him to my desk. Keep the cameras rolling 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. If somebody's going to off me, we're going to get it from all angles. There you go. What would they do? They'd be like, this guy's crazy. But they shouldn't. They'd be like, that's who we need. Why are we going through the ceremony of swearing to protect and defend the Constitution of the United States when every president does the exact opposite? Hold up a dollar bill and go, guess what this is worth, guys? Guess what it was worth in 1913 and guess what it's worth now? Why do you think we have inflation? It's not because of Cerveza-bug. It's not because somebody started a war with me. By the way, we're not getting into any wars anymore. Every war is a banker war. Look it up. Look up your history. Here, let me read you an excerpt from Smedley Butler's War is a Racket. He said, I could have taught Al Capone a thing or two. The best he could do was operate in three counties. I operated on 3 continents, says Major General Smedley Butler in the Marines. Talking about how war is a racket. The military is a racket. We live in a lie, and we promote and applaud liars. Name a politician that's not a liar, guys. Name a politician that's not a liar. Name a lawyer that's not a liar. Name a corporate teleprompter reading news puppet, a prostitute for the mainstream press. Tell me which one of them is not a liar. I don't care if you're talking about Sean Hannity and Tucker Carlson on the right or Brooke Baldwin and little Brian Stelter on the left. They're all frickin' liars. Highly paid, quite articulate in some cases liars, but liars nonetheless.
You know the number, Congressman. I lost track at 60-some. Are we to 70 executive orders yet? We got to be close.
I haven't counted them yet myself, but there's just way too many. He's announced he's going to do another executive order on so-called ghost guns. These are guns that you manufacture at home. Since the founding of our country, it's been legal for you to make your own gun. Yeah. Now, you can't sell it unless you're a licensed manufacturer of firearms, but it's always been legal. And he's claiming these are showing up in crimes. Well, you know, Kentucky's biggest city, Louisville, Kentucky, where, you know, most of your crimes based in the cities, they claim that ghost guns are, you know, so-called ghost guns are not a problem there. And have you ever stopped to think, well, maybe if you're finding more of these used in crimes, it's because somebody stole those guns from somebody who legitimately made it because look, Dan, if somebody had the skills to make a firearm, they wouldn't be a criminal. They would have a career in gunsmithing or some other profession in 3D printing.
Yeah, they'd be doing custom guns.
That's right.
Like a
no, that's not necessarily true. I mean, they could do both. They could be smart. They could be a smart criminal, an enterprising criminal. But this quote, so-called ghost guns, but this 3D printing is pretty interesting. Apparently, you can now create an entire firearm, an entire workable firearm from a 3D printer. They want to put a kibosh on that. You know why? It's almost like Ross Ulbricht with the Silk Road. They couldn't have that because it was the black market, which is really a free market. Do dangerous things happen? Yes. Did dangerous things happen? Looks like it, but they're trying to get away. That's when Bitcoin was just arriving on the scene, and they were trying not to use fiat currency, the Federal Reserve note. They wanted to get away from dishonest money and use the blockchain that has a ledger for everything that you can't even lie about. But what we got now? We got Ross Ulbricht in jail, not pardoned by Donald Trump, not pardoned by Barack Obama, will not be pardoned by Joseph Robinette Biden. Ross Ulbricht serving 2 consecutive life sentences, and no evidence that he harmed or threatened to harm anybody. That's how they treat somebody who wants to work outside the system. That's how they treat somebody who wants to opt out. That's how they treat somebody who gets off of the chain of government and shows other people the way. You know, you got the Jeffrey Winehouses, the Ross Ulbrichts, the Bradley Manning, the Schaefer Cox of the world, who are rotting in prisons right now, not because they harmed somebody, not because they committed a crime or violated anybody's rights like politicians do every single day, but it's because they were exposing evil and they wanted people to be free. They had a message of freedom, and they had a way to walk in freedom, and they were enterprising and they were entrepreneurial. But you can't have that when government's got to control you, man. These people got to be controlled. They can't get out of line. Can't be offering up alternate forms of currency like Ross Ulbricht did. You need to use the Federal Reserve note. It's like, why did that thing happen in September of 2001? Oh, let's see. There was something to do with oil, and there was this guy named Saddam Hussein who was sick of using Federal Reserve notes to buy energy for his country, and he's like, you know what? Screw it. I'm turning that spigot off, and I'm going to turn on the Euro spigot. What was it? 11 months later, we were in Iraq, hauling in Saddam Hussein. Gaddafi tried to do the same thing, get off the Federal Reserve petrodollar Ponzi scheme, and tried to open up the his currency for the gold-based dinar. Boom, dead within months. Can't have that. You can't have people standing up against the machine, man. Not the Zionist International Banking Cartel. They're the people that make the world go around, and they're the reasons we have wars. They're the reasons we have a military-industrial complex. They're the reason that 90% of the world's opium, the poppy fields in Afghanistan, are controlled by the CIA. They're not going to give that up. Guys, we're not leaving Afghanistan. If a politician promises that we're going to leave somewhere, you can take it to the bank, you're staying. If a politician tells you one thing, the exact opposite usually happens. A high percentage of the time.
Some bike builder and making bank. Yeah. And let's be real, it has nothing to do with that.
Yeah, I love that raised by gypsies. Can't let just one ant have his way. Can somebody drop that link? An Ant's Life. Just let me see if I can play that. That is like one of the most instructive 60-second clips on the internet. Let's see. Just one ant. If just one ant. 1 minute and 14 seconds. This is just, a bug's life. What a scene, man. And you talk about a psychological operation, too. Because pretty much everything that's being said in this clip right here is true. I don't know how much of this I'm gonna break this up a little bit, guys. I'm gonna play like 10-second clips at a time because this is Disney, and I'm sure there's some kind of copyright on it.
There was that ant that stood up to me.
Yeah, but we can forget about him.
Yeah, it was just one ant.
Yeah, so that's the theme right there. I'm not going to play the whole thing because YouTube's got it for me anyway. So basically it says, oh, it was just one ant, and he picks up this piece of grain and he throws him at him. He goes, did that hurt? And he's like, no. Did that hurt? No. And he does it again. Did that hurt? And then he opens this whole vat of these beans or whatever they are, and it covers those people up. And he goes, what about that right there? If we let just one ant get away with that, if we get, like, from the government's perspective, if we let one person get away with not paying his taxes, then that person's not going to pay his taxes, and then that person, and then pretty soon we're going to have a revolt. And now you got all these ants going, yeah, I want to keep 100% of my income. So they unleash the propaganda campaign and make you look like you're the criminal because you want to keep 100% of everything that you left the house away from your family and spent your blood, sweat, and tears to accumulate. So just a fantastic. I'm going to put this link in the chat room if you haven't seen this. It's called A Bug's Life, and it's basically, just one ant. If one ant gets away with it, they might all stand up against us. Yeah, Disney or not, it's pretty instructive. Here, let me just finish this right here. It's almost done.
Because again, go to the FBI stats and look at the majority of mass shootings, 4 or more dead. And I want Mr. Biden to go tell us the number of how many of homemade guns were used in these shootings over the last, let's just say, 2 decades. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's 0.
Yeah, you know what?
It's 0.
I mean, all these are good sounding arguments, but the bottom line is shall not be infringed. Oh, it's not an infringement. It's common sense gun safety regulation. Shall not be infringed. I mean, I would sound like a broken record. Let's see, and just start talking to these mainstream, fake stream prostitute pundits. Start talking to them about what part of shall not be infringed do you not understand? You mean you want them to have bazookas? Shall not be infringed. You want people's neighbors to have grenades? Shall not be infringed. You want people to be able to park tanks in the front yard? Shall not be infringed. But we'll see long guns all over the place. Little kids will get scared at the park when all these long guns are everywhere and just shall not be infringed. My rights don't end where your fears begin. They never have and they never will. It's just not true. You got to stop placating people and go, you know what? We're going to create a world here that is not influenced by political parasites. We're going to create a world here where my neighbor is going to be empowered and emboldened to take out for himself. Will the world get a little dangerous in the meantime? Maybe. Are you going to be ready for it? All we need is government to step out of the way. Innovation will flow, man. People are like, well, without government, how are we going to build the roads, the schools, the bridges? How can we ever have clean running water? Guys, we don't have those things because of government. We have those things because individuals go, you know what? I think there's a better way. And then government co-ops it. They subsidize it. They throw a whole bunch of money at it. People cave to the money pressure. Like all this technology, people are like, that came from the government. Guys, those came from individuals who were co-opted by the government. It's all this stuff is private, it's privatized, and then they make it all, government crap. Who says we would even have to have roads? Maybe if the government got out of the way, we would not even need, we've been using the internal combustion engine for 117 years now? Highly inefficient. Who knows, maybe we would have something else like, a Hydra car. Who's that guy that got killed at that Cracker Barrel? What was the name? What was that guy's name? Who would say we would even need fuel, gasoline for our cars or an internal combustion engine? Maybe we could run on seawater. Maybe we wouldn't even need roads because we would have hovercrafts. Sky's the limit, man. Do you remember the EV1? The EV1 was a car that was produced by GM, and it did so good, I think on a 1-hour charge, it was able to get 300 miles to a 1-hour charge. Not one EV1 was sold. What was that guy's name that did the hydro? It was like some kind of car that ran on, what was it, Steve Myers? Stanley Meyer. Stanley Meyer died suddenly on March 20th, 1998, while dining at a restaurant. His brother claimed that during a meeting, the two Belgian investors in a restaurant, Meyer suddenly ran outside saying they poisoned me. The water fuel cell is what it was. People are constantly going, without government, we wouldn't have this. Without government, we wouldn't have that. It's like, guys, without government, we wouldn't have 250 million people dead in the last century alone, excluding wars. Without government, we wouldn't have wars. Wars, you know, a lot of people go, wars are good for the economy. Actually, they're not. Look into it. Actually, it's a fake stimulus to the economy. It's not real stimulus to the economy, because it's all wars are banker wars. They're all done on cheap, easy credit, and that's why they need these. The First World War came in 1914. 1 year after the establishment of the Federal Reserve. Amschel Rothschild said, give me control over a nation's money and I care not who makes its laws. You can't fund a war unless you have cheap credit and an unsound, dishonest money system. Then they can just roll the presses and, hey, here, just take our word for it. These war bonds, they're worth something. No, they really aren't. Yeah, wars are good for the elites. Every war is a banker war. It doesn't benefit you. It doesn't benefit me. And even like Hermann Goering said, the best that the poor farmer, he called him a slob, the best the poor slob could get out of it is to come back in one piece. Nobody wants war, but the rulers, they want war. Matter of fact, I'm going to read that quote right here. It's from Hermann Goering. Naturally, the common people do not want war, but after all, it is the leaders of a country who determine the policy. And it's always a simple matter to drag the people along, whether it's a democracy or a fascist dictatorship or a parliament or a communist dictatorship. Voice or no voice, the people can always be brought to the bidding of the leaders. That is easy. All you have to do is tell them they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism. Oh, you don't want to go to war? You're not patriotic. And exposing the country to danger. And because you're not patriotic, you're exposing the country to danger, i.e. you're jeopardizing national security. You remember that? Oh, if you're not with us, you're with the terrorists. Oh, really? That's a false choice, isn't it? It's a false dichotomy. Couldn't there be a third choice? I'm not with you or the terrorists. But that's what they like to do is put you in that little guinea pig hole. Here, train the rat, give him a treat. Oh, now he's going, look, now he's doing it by himself. It's rote memorization, and they just keep on doing it, and they don't know why they do it. Year after year, I punch the clock. I make my money, I pay my bills, I go home. All you have to do is tell them that they're being attacked and denounce the pacifists for lack of patriotism and exposing the country to danger. It works the same in every country. And it does, man. Second verse, same as the first. It's not broke. Why would they fix it? It continues to work year after year. All that propaganda constantly shoved down people's throat, and they keep on. They don't have to change the script. We're like little lab rats. We're like, oh, I'm supposed to jump through that hoop. I'm supposed to go through that channel. I'm supposed to take that maze right there. Okay, I'll do whatever you want to. I'll do whatever you want me to. Yeah, so you got the 1913, the Federal Reserve is established. First World War, 1914. Every world war since then has been exacted by the Zio International Banking Cartel, man. It's like nobody wakes up and smells the coffee and puts two and two together.
It's zero. He won't announce those statistics because they don't exist. He doesn't have them.
Just signaling to the people that he wants to get votes from, the anti-gun people.
And it's also about this. He wants to, the Second Amendment is about your ability to curb the power of the almighty government. And he wants to take away any ability of a person to create, their own gun in order to exercise the Second Amendment. That's what it's about.
It is.
But it's all talk, too, at the same time. He's trying to placate the left. The problem is these legislative guns and these executive order guns are loaded, and you have to take one seriously.
Well, I know you're going to keep fighting for our Second Amendment.
Guys, I really appreciate you joining me for this premiere. The bottom line of this video is shall not be infringed means shall not be infringed. If anybody is infringing on your right to own a firearm, they are your enemy. If you enjoy these videos, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell notification icon, give it a thumbs up, share it with everybody you know, and don't forget to subscribe to my private email list through my website,
highimpactflix.com, and subscribe to me over on BitChute and on Odyssey. I will see you guys in the next heavily censored shadow ban video. While we have time and it still retains some of its perceived value, maybe it'd be a good idea to convert your worthless fiat into valuable, storable food. Don't be the one who waits till the food riots start happening. You don't want to be fighting panicking people in the store over that last jar of peanut butter. At Prepare with High Impact Flicks, you can get up to 3 air and watertight gasket-sealed ammo cans, each filled with a 4-week emergency supply. 7 food varieties, 2,000 calories a day, 284 servings, breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and each meal comes in a resealable, heavy-duty 4-layered pouch. And it's got a 25-year shelf life. Every order of a 4-week supply gets you $100 off plus free shipping. Here's how simple it is to make. I'm gonna cook up some Granny's home-style potato soup. People are gonna think I'm a culinary hero. You open the pouch, boil 4.5 cups of water, stir the contents, simmer on low heat for 15 to 20 minutes, take it off the heat, then let it set for 2 to 3 minutes before you serve it up.
Man, this stuff's so good. People are gonna think Granny stopped by and filled your kitchen with a whole bunch of love.
Well, if Granny does stop by, she's gonna fill your behind with a whole bunch of buckshot if you keep talking with your mouth full. Wipe your dang beard off. It's embarrassing. So maybe convert some of your worthless fiat into valuable food while you still can. Order now and get $100 off of up to 3 4-week emergency food supplies at preparewithhighimpactflix.com. The link is in the description.